What's going on, everybody? It's Pelfrey, and as you can see, we're back on the kitchen countertop. We've got quite a bit going on as usual, so I'll try to make this as quick as possible. I was going to start at the tank. Unfortunately, I did a water change and the tank isn't looking so hot right now, so I'm going to start here and then move over to the tank. A couple things I wanted to touch on real quick. This is the Reef Octopus Vario 6. As you can see, it's no longer on the system. It does come with this little strainer here. The Neptune COR20 is now on the system. I do have to say that the Reef Octopus Vario 6 has been a reliable pump. I've had no problems with it. It's silent. It just works great. It has actually been on my system for close to a year now, and this is the first time that I've actually pulled it off of the tank and even cleaned it at all. I did not run the pump in vinegar and water, but I've set the pump in vinegar and water and ran a power head to kind of clean it off a little bit. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. Chances are I'll probably sell it, but I'm going to wait until the COR20 beta testing is over with. That way, if an issue pops up with the COR20, I'll have this pump to go back to. And it's quite interesting because this is the fitting that the COR20 come with, and it is the same fitting as the Varios pumps. So it was very easy to swap out. I didn't know that until one of the other beta testers figured that out. So fortunately for me, it was simply pulling the bulkhead off of my plumbing, pulling the pump out, and reattaching the short piece of PVC to the COR20, and then throw it back in the tank with the bulkhead. So as the tank sets right now, the manifold is still running, which brings me to my next kind of topic. But yeah, for anybody interested or curious, if you have a Reef Octopus Varios pump, the fittings are the same. I'm not sure about the 2 or the 4, but I'm pretty sure, I know the 6 is, because I have a 6, but I'm pretty sure the 8 and the 6 are the same. So since I since I was in the beta testing for the core pump and it's ongoing, I went ahead and picked up the Neptune AFS 100. So this is the 1-inch flow sensor. Unfortunately, I have not got this on the tank just yet. And also, unfortunately, for me to get this on the tank, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a manifold. And I'm not really too hurt about that. I can get a CHA1 or CHA 1.5 to run the scrubber and the reactor that I have pond matrix in if I want to. But I need to get this on the tank. But I'm probably not going to do that until the beta testing is over, just because I don't really want to change a lot and go through that whole process. I got the core running right now. I kind of just want to leave it alone. Since I'm on the topic of the FS100, so this is the 1-inch flow sensor. They actually recommend that you have like 8 inches of pipe between the flow sensor, I guess, on either direction. There is a directional arrow here, so water would come in here and then exit out this way. So it's something to pay attention to. There is an arrow right there that will dictate flow. This thing is not waterproof, but it is water resistant, so that is something else to keep in mind. I think this is 16 feet of cord. This works with the new FMM module, so if you have the Neptune ATK, the auto top off, this will work with that. The 1-inch and the 2-inch require, per Neptune, pipe threaded sealant. So this is not something I've ever used before. Had to go out and get it. So if you plan on getting a 1-inch sensor and plan to use Teflon tape, don't do it. Neptune does not recommend it. They also do not recommend that you pick up the flow sensor by the cable here. So they recommend that you pick it up like so. Disregard the bag there. I had some carbon in my tank. I took it out. Next up, we have some Tropic Marin A, B, and C. Why do I have this? Ultimately, I'll make this quick as possible. Today's the first time I've done a water change in like 4 or 5 weeks. I'm trying to raise my nutrients. I'm trying to get some nitrate in my tank. My phosphates tend to stay between 0.03 and 0.08. Today I tested them to 0.06. Tested nitrates, 0. So, in an effort for me to prolong water changes, at some point I'm going to add part A, B, and C to the tank. I'll probably start off dosing by hand and then eventually graduate to a dosing pump. But you can buy this in 2 different forms. You can buy it in the like a salt form or a powder form, whatever, or you can buy it in the liquid form. I decided to go ahead and get the liquid form. This way it takes me out of the equation as far as mixing. So each one of these, it's 1,000 milliliters. So we have A, B, and C. And at some point, whenever my alkalinity starts to drop, we'll implement this system. Like I said, I plan to do it by hand. We'll see how long that goes. But I've talked to a couple different people about it, and they seem to like it. It seems to be fairly simple and fairly easy. Of course, with the part C, you're going to get different trace elements, we'll say. So I do plan on using the Red Sea Coral Pro salt that I'm using now, only because I still have half a bucket left, and I'm not going to throw away the salt just to jump on a different program. But I may very well look at a different salt once the Coral Pro is gone. But until then, this is what I'm sticking to. And at this moment, I don't have any reason to implement any of these parts. But whenever I do need that alkalinity stability, this is what I'm going to go to. So basically it's going to keep the alkalinity and magnesium and calcium stable and add trace elements. And the thing is you add equal parts. So there's really, from how it's been explained to me, it's pretty simple to follow because you're not dosing different amounts in each container. So if you do 1 milliliter on A, you're going to do 1 milliliter on B and 1 milliliter on C. So it seems to be pretty simple. There's really not a lot of information out there. It's kind of hard to find any information, and some of the information is in German. So if you look at the bottle here, that is in German. So it is what it is, but that is my plan, and we'll just have to see how it goes. Let's go over to the tank. It's still a little cloudy, but we'll make do. We'll go over some of the new stuff on it. You know, I can't keep my hands out of the tank, and I can't not do anything to the tank. So let's move over there, take a look, see what we got going on. All right, now with the tank, it's cloudy. I'm sorry. Like I said, I did a water change for the first time in 4 or 5 weeks. I lost track a couple weeks ago. What I wanted to go over real quick is if the good thing about the Neptune Apex is, I don't know if I can get a good shot of this, but you can track what you've been testing. And if you don't know this already, whenever you use a particular testing kit, so Red Sea or HANA or whatever, for instance, I'm using the HANA phosphorus checker, it will automatically convert that for you. So today I tested alkalinity. Let's back up. Last weekend I tested alkalinity, it was 8.9. Today I tested it, it was 8.5. My calcium has stayed at 450, which that's probably high. My magnesium, it looks like it has dropped a little bit, but we're going to take that with a grain of salt because the magnesium Red Sea kit is just a simple pain in the butt. My nitrates have stayed 0. All throughout, my nitrates have been 0. And my phosphates, like I said earlier, they go anywhere between 0.3 and 0.8. Today I tested them and they were 0.6. So that's the kind of the breakdown of some of the chemistry I'm dealing with in the tank. I do have the Neptune auto feeder on the tank. It is feeding at noon and 4, and then I'm feeding either pellets again or something frozen with Celcon, and then typically Reeferoids in the evening. And I'm doing everything I can to try to raise nitrates. You know, short of literally dosing nitrates, I don't really know what else to do because excuse me, I stopped doing water changes, and believe it or not, it was very hard for me to grasp the fact that I'm not doing water changes anymore. Water changes now are going to do what they probably should have done in the beginning, and my water parameters will dictate when I need to do a water change. So I'm going to monitor alkalinity. Luckily, the HANA checker DKH HANA checker is very easy to use. It takes less than a minute probably to get a reading. How accurate is it? I'm not sure, but as long as I'm getting a good number that coincides with the number that I had the week before or the couple days before, then I'm good with that. I'm just going to keep rolling with it. So that's that. I don't really know what else to do to this tank as far as try to get some of the nutrients up. The yellow tang has passed. There's absolutely no rhyme or reason why that yellow tang is gone. I was watching the tank one night last week and everybody was fine. I'm not seeing any white spots or anything on my fish at all. The yellow tang was not acting erratic by any means. The lights went off at 9 p.m. I was heading up the steps about 9:45 and I turned the flashlight on my phone and I started looking at the tank, and the yellow tang was laying in the back of the tank on the ground, on the sand bed. At first I just thought the yellow tang was sleeping, but unfortunately after I stuck the net in there and I caught the fish like that, I knew that the fish wasn't alive anymore, because if you ever tried to catch a fish before, you will understand that as soon as you stick a net in the tank, lights on or off, they don't really matter. They're pretty difficult to catch. So unfortunately the yellow tang has passed. I do plan on getting another one. As far as any nuisance algae that I used to have on the rocks, the yellow tang took care of. Speaking of the tank chemistry, I was running the Santa Monica Rain 2 24/7. I now have it shutting off the lights at noon and coming back on at 2. So I'm trying to experiment a little bit with cutting the light cycle back just a little bit to see if I can get some nitrates in the tank. The skimmer's been doing well. It's been getting a good skim out of it, and I'm cleaning it every couple days. And as far as I'm concerned, the screen on the Rain 2 is doing well. And I'm almost starting to believe that the Rain 2 might be doing too much. Either that or I'm just simply not feeding enough. And I know it's based on feedings. And, I could feed more. I really don't know what I'm going to do at this point. So we'll just have to kind of hang out and see. But as far as the corals that I got from AquaSD a couple weeks back, they're all doing great. Actually, this colony of bird's nest is starting to show some color. As you can see, I did add a second T5. There's 2 Blue Plus 36-inch lamps over the tank, and then the Kessils are in the middle. I just looked directly into the Kessils, and now I can't see crap. It's almost like staring at the eclipse. It was bad. Everything's doing pretty good. The little dendro over here, I'm trying to feed it every day or every other day, but surprisingly, it looks pretty good. Now, I did put a power head in my sump earlier. It was filthy. I turned the power head on and let it kind of clean some of that stuff out of the sump. Ultimately, it ended up in the display. It's all good though. Everything's out. Everything's looking good. The bubble tip anemone, one of them split and it's on the back of the tank now. And I don't know. It's the first time I've ever had one before. This one looks all right. The one in the back just stays closed up, but it is what it is. I did take some suggestions before. I got the bird's nest over here. I moved the green stylo over on this rock, moved a purple hammer down here to be with the other hammers that I have, and the other euphyllias are up in that area right there. The Goniopores are doing good. I put a small frag rack in the back of the tank and it's doing good. I wanted to get those out from underneath the direct light here in the middle of the tank, which I had them on the sand bed, but I did take the gyre pumps out of the tank last week and ran them in vinegar water just to get some of the coralline algae off and clean them. I did not take them apart. The good thing about having the advanced controller is you can unhook either pump, pull it out of the tank, throw it in a bucket, plug it back in, program it to run at whatever speed. I think I ran it at like 10% in a bucket, and then rinsed them off a little bit with some water, threw them back in the tank. So a lot of people vinegar dose anyway, so a little bit of residual vinegar on the pumps, as far as I'm concerned, it isn't going to hurt anything. So I did a quick cleaning of it and threw it back in the tank. The 2 acros that I have in the tank are looking the same as they always have. Like I said before, I'm probably not ready, or I know I'm not ready for acros, but I got a really good deal on them. So, you know, if you don't try it out, you're never going to know. As far as that's concerned, I got another Apex module in here. I got the FMM module to go with the flow sensor. Did get a leak detector, and it's up underneath the stand, on the back of the stand, underneath the stand. And I tested it out simply by just putting a little bit of water on the leak detector, and it worked out perfectly. It's a great feature to have. I do not have the leak detector set up to shut any equipment down, but what I do have is the leak detector to text me as soon as it senses anything, and then I can manually go in and turn off whatever I need to turn off. So the good thing about the FMM module is it comes with 4 ports. So the flow sensor is going to go on 1, the leak detector is on number 2, and I got 2 extra ports, and I'm seriously considering buying 2 of the optical sensors and maybe the aPump, and using that as my auto top off over the Tunze. So it's like the Tunze, whereas it uses an optical sensor, and I can use one for a high and a low as far as the water level is concerned. 2 optical sensors from Neptune, and then I do have 2 float switches plugged into the breakout box that I could use for my 3rd failsafe. So let me take the camera off the tripod, and we'll take a look at the cloudy mess that I got going on in here. So first things first, we'll look at the equipment cabinet. There you can see I got the breakout box, the Gyre advanced controller, the Apex Classic, and man, the Trident blew a lot of people's lids this week because it's not going to work with the Classic, but so be it. The Classic works for me right now. If the 2016 Apex goes on sale for a good deal, I may hop on it, I may not. We'll see. I don't have any plans to run the Trident, so you know the 2016 does have some features that I would like to have, but they're definitely not needs. Below that, I got the FMM, and the leak detector's plugged into 4, so the flow sensor is going to go here, and then I have the 2 extra ports here that, like I said, I thought about getting 2 of the optical sensors and using the optical sensors, and the aPump would plug in here and the accessory there, and I could use that for my auto top off, but we'll see how that goes. This is the COR20, and it is running. I should pull up on my laptop the core programming and show you kind of what I got going on there. It's a simple program. I have done away with the Linksys router, and I got the Netgear, I think it's the N300, only because it doesn't take up as much space, and it's still plugged into my battery backup, so if something happens on the wall socket, this will run for a little bit anyway, and then once it goes dead, I would know for sure. We do have the Varios controller and everything still over here in case I need to do a swap as far as return pumps, and the Tunze controller just hanging out over here. And I'm kind of partial to the new modules because I don't have a lot of room in here. I didn't really plan out adding any extra modules, and the new modules have the clamp and they slide down on it, whereas the old Apex modules have the mounting pieces on the side that you actually screw into. So this is definitely a cleaner look, but you need more room to put them in there. So, you know, it's a minor gripe of mine, but no big deal. I made it work. It's really not a big deal. While we're down here, FYI, I have this cover on here so that the kids can't get in here and accidentally unplug my entire system. Let's go over here real quick. We'll take a look at the core. So as you can see right now, it is running 37 watts, 2027 RPMs, and the temp is 59 degrees. And basically I have one set point for the core, and it is running at, I think it's like 74%, somewhere around there. Let me see if I can mouse over that. 71%. So that is actually where it's running. And you can map it out and have it ramp up and down. So it's pretty nice. Swinging back in this direction towards the tank. I did get the Neptune Pro Holder, which I cannot use because my auto top off container is just a little too big. But you can see, or probably not see, the core pump is running in the return section, and everything seems to be well with it. It's got a nice slow start on it, and it is super quiet. So if you can hear any noise right now, it's probably the gyre ramping up. I do have the gyres set on random mode at 100%, both of them, and it seems to be working out just because they're not running at a high speed all the time. I did move, and it's hard to see again, the pond matrix into the anything acrylic containers here, and that seems to be working out pretty well. There's a nice flow of water going over them. Now this one's exposed to air a little bit, but I'm really not concerned about it because, you know, and I've honestly thought about it. The pond matrix may be, you know, may not be helping my nitrate situation. I have the reactor full of pond matrix, and then 2 of these canisters full of pond matrix. So, you know, I may need to pull some of it out. I'm really not sure, but I'm not running any kind of mechanical filtration on the tank. I could very well put a piece of foam or floss or whatever over top of that, and then just pull it out whenever it got dirty. The skimmer does have a wet skim in there, only because it was just a little bit mad whenever I turned the return pump off, or excuse me, back on, and the sump level was just a little bit higher than what it really likes. So right now it's got a nice foam coming out of it. We'll go up to the display. You can see the hammers there. It's a little bit blue. That's all right. The blue tang's going a little nuts there. This is where I moved the stylo. Got some euphyllias back there, and you can see the goniopores back there. The green ones just always really stretch out. We're moving over. We got the purple stylo, and this thing has had some crazy extension on it. Of course, it's getting beat up by a gyre right now. The bird's nest colony is starting to show some color, so we'll see. I have not had any luck at all with the bird's nest. The acro here is starting to show some green, but you know, we'll definitely see where that goes. That one up there it's not doing so well. It's turning white at the base. So the little dendro down here, I kind of got it in the shade since it doesn't really depend on the light. Some acans, and then some more euphyllias over here. And I probably won't be able to get a good shot of it, but so these are some of the other corals that I got. This head right here is not doing so well, but for the most part, they're all doing pretty well. The gyres have been cleaned up. There's no more coralline algae on the gyre pumps, but overall, everything's doing quite well. I'm quite pleased with it. The AFS is still mounted to the 80-20, and you can see here, this is the front bar. There is a Sunblaster T5 mounted to it, and then I got the Kessil A160s. There's a piece of 80-20 here, and then a piece of 80-20 here, and that pretty much is my light bar. And you can see there's a small gap between the light bar and the tank there, so it doesn't hit it. You know, for $50, the fixtures work out well. While I'm on the topic, I ran across an Aquatic Life T5 LED hybrid fixture that's coming out soon. Now, the good thing about it is I believe it uses the same ballast as the ATI fixtures. However, it allows you to mount any LEDs you want. So if you own Kessils already, you can throw the Kessils in there. If you own Radions, you can throw them in there. If you own any of the aqua illumination lights, you can throw them in there. I'll leave the link to the Marine Depot blog in the description below. It's a very nice fixture. I emailed the company, asked them if it was going to come out this year for sure. They said yep, and they're hoping towards the end of the year, maybe. I would say towards the end of the year. Me and a gentleman by the name of Dave have had quite a few emails back and forth regarding the light, and I have to say that I'm very excited because it would allow me to add 4 T5s and run my Kessils at the same time in one fixture. Now, I don't dislike my setup here. It's a little sloppy, on top of the 80-20, but you know, truth be told, I'm the only one that would even notice that. So I may well have forgot something. This video has gone on a lot longer than I thought it would. So at this point, I'm just going to cut it short. Questions, comments, concerns, any tips, tricks, please leave them in the comment section below. I consider myself a rookie to reefing, so anything that you can say to me I will definitely research it. I don't know it all. I won't claim to know it all. I'm just doing the best that I can. With that said, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you all on the next one.